Winter Gardens.
In this garden, photosynthesis takes place. Photosynthesis is the forming or building of a more complex substance or compound from elements or simpler compounds of complex organic materials, especially carbohydrates from carbon dioxide, water, and inorganic salts, using sunlight as the source of energy and with the aid of chlorophyll as associated pigments.
The soil in the garden is loam soil, which sand, silt, and clay. Ecosystems here are very balanced because butterflies and bees are attracted to the many plants.
When you first walk in, if you turn to the left, you have reached the herb garden. As you may notice, there are 4 different types of species: the culinary, medicinal, dye, and fragrance.
In the culinary section, you have the nasturtiums, which is native in South and Central America, and all parts of it are edible. There is also marjoram, which is a perennial plant and is known to the Greeks and Romans as a symbol of happiness.
Moving on to the medicinal section of the garden, you will see the anise hyssop, which is a perennial plant and was used medicinally by Native Americans for coughing, fevers, and wounds. It is also a seasoning in tea and potpourri and is favored by bees. Also in the medicinal garden is the echinacea, which is in the daisy family and also known as the purple coneflower.
Next is the dye section. It contains soapwort, a versipatine flower, and a common perennial plant from the carnation family. As the name implies, it can be used as a very gentle soap, usually in dilute solution. Soapwort has various medicinal functions as expectorant and laxative, but care should be taken when used as saponins may be toxic. An overdose can cause nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting. Another plant that is found in the dye section is foxglove. Roots, sap, flowers, seeds, and leaves of foxglove are all poisonous even when dried.
The last section of the herb garden is a fragrance portion. In this part of the garden, you will find the rose-scented bee balm. The aromatic foliage is sometimes used for making tea. It is a wonderful plant for attracting butterflies and helpful bees. The prairie native has fascinating shaped flowers in jewel tones of red, pink, purple, and white, surrounded by dark bracts. They also stop substantial clumps of dark foliage. Another plant in the fragrance part of the herb garden is a lemon verbena.
As we head onto the fragrance section, we come to find the rose-scented bee balm, which is aromatic foliage that is sometimes used for making tea. It also is a wonderful plant for attracting butterflies and helpful to bees.
Also in the fragrance section, there is lemon verbena, also known as one of the best ways to make beverage teas. Brighten the taste of fish, poultry, veggie marinades, stuffing, salad dressing, jellies, and vinegar.
When you walk out of the herb garden and turn left, you come across the ABC garden. An interesting plant in the garden is the euphorbia, which can be small leafy mats to huge towering plants. Another cool plant is the toadflax, which is a species that can be aggressive and can displace forage in pasture land and native species in wildland.
If you head out of the ABC garden the same way you came and then turn left and follow the path, there are 2 paths that you can take. But instead of taking either of the paths, you look in front of you and you have come across the shrubs and perennials. In this garden you may see purple beautyberry. Their berries last well into the winter or dry season, and they are important survival food for birds and other animals. Also, in this garden there is the balloon flower, which is a perennial blooming for most of the summer. Balloon flowers are attractive to boarders, with smaller types growing best along the edges.
Now, if you would please go to the left path, follow it, and then take a right, past the grasses, then right in front of you, there is the native plants garden. This includes the pasquette flower, also known as the prairie smoke, and the little blue stem. The pasquette flower attracts bees and offers abundant pollen and small amounts of nectar. The little blue stem produces an abundance of high-quality, palatable forage that is used for hay and pastures.
Once you are finished with looking at the plants, go directly around the garden and come to the ferns and daylilies. This garden holds the ostrich ferns, a colony-forming fern occurring in temperature regions of northern Asia and northern North America.
Behind the ferns and daylilies is the everlasting garden. This garden keeps the chocolate mint. It doesn't smell or taste like chocolate, but it is an after-dinner chocolate mint. Job's tears is another everlasting flower. It is harvested as a cereal crop, has a soft shell, and is used medicinally in parts of Asia.
Turn around, past the ferns and daylilies, then the shrubs and perennials. Turn right, and you have come across the annual garden. An annual flower is a salvia, also known as the largest genus of plants in the mint family. Continuing to your right, directly across from the ABC garden, are the annuals and perennials. One of the perennial flowers is the leopard's vein, or the oldest cultivated ornamental flower. An annual flower in the garden is the Verbena bonariensis. It can stand over 6 feet tall, and it does not need staking.
Keep walking to your right and you should be at the place you started at, by the entrance. But don't leave yet. Looking at the entrance, take a left, follow the path, past the shed, and you have completely entered the shade garden. Bleeding hearts, a shade flower, are perennials that need little light. Lungworts are perennial herbs that grow in clumps of tubular clusters. They are also shade plants that you can find in this garden.
Before you head to the entrance again, on the shed there is a trellis. By the trellis is the maypops, or a clinging vine that needs 30 to 40 square feet of support.
Now, if you would please take the path back to the garden's entrance. This has completed our tour of the Salamone Master Gardens. We hope you have enjoyed looking at all the plants, and you are welcome to come back anytime.